Right then, welcome back. Yeah, didn't have a video up last weekend because I've run into some technical issues. Some of the stuff that I filmed it's just disappeared into cyberspace, whatever. I don't know, my phone's getting fairly battered. I use my mobile phone to do all the videos on, and that's kind of not being as reliable as it used to be. I mean, some way from getting that onto the computer and blah blah blah, I've lost some stuff. So it kind of like didn't make any sense, and so I didn't do a video last week. Some of the bits are missing, so I'm just going to have to try and fill in the blanks. So I'll cobble together what I do this weekend as well, and hopefully it'll make some sort of sense. But unfortunately, stuff I did have lost was balancing the tyre on the front wheel, putting the forks and the gaiters and the front wheel on. That's all gone. I mean, fairly uninteresting stuff, kind of. But yeah, it was part of the video. That's just gone. Rear wheel going on. That's been lost. I think putting the downpipes on. And there was a bit where you'll see with the rear mudguard, I want to make kind of a splash guard on the back. Which possibly I might mount relays and stuff on. I ended up using it's like the undertail piece. I think it's British Customs piece that I had on my Bonneville when it was just the seat. So it was just the seat, and that kind of plate just bolts on in place of a mudguard and just kind of stops crap hitting the electrics and just cleans it up quite nicely. That obviously is not going to go on the hardtail because we've got a different subframe and we've got a different mudguard on gens. So it's kind of like a nice bit of black aluminium with a bend in it, which was surplus requirement. So I try to upcycle when I can and reuse that. So I've reused that, but the kind of the layout, the cutting, what it was like before, has gone. So we've only got it mounted on the bike now, unfortunately. So yeah, a bit of a pain and delayed a video going out, but never mind, we'll keep cracking on. So yeah, so the bike is looking a lot more together. Hopefully this video I'll piece together stuff I've got left over and what I do this weekend, and hopefully it'll make some kind of sense. So forgive me if I repeat bits or it seems a bit disjointed. It's probably me just jumping back and forth, but enough of that, let's crack on. Enjoy. So I put the rear wheel on just to try and then work out if I want to cut anything away from this mudguard or leave it as is, just to give me a bit of a look. And the stance of the bike as it is, it's pretty low actually now. I can't remember it being that low, but it is low. That gives you an idea of the space that's left over after the airbox is out. There's that side panel which goes there. I'm not sure whether I'll put that back on. Obviously there'll be the battery and a fair bit of wiring that I need to kind of hide under here somehow and protect, so gonna have to work something out underneath there. Only minor concern I'm thinking of with the all-weather crap riding is that obviously the mudguard finishes there, so I've got quite a bit of exposed area here. The other mudguard obviously came down a bit lower, I think. So I'm gonna do quite like that. But whether it's, I don't know, part of it, I quite like the unusualness of the other one and the fact that you either love it or hate it. If I'm using this one, so I haven't got the kind of rails which go along here, so I might end up sanding these raised bits which are normally where the other rails sort of bolted, sand them back smooth so we get more of a smooth finish on the mudguard rather than those. I'm actually also wondering whether if I'll forego a side mount for a bit of a change and just number plate on the back there with the brake light on there. Yeah, not sure yet, but it's certainly nice to see the bike down and have a sit on it as well. Just loving that front end on it actually at the moment.
and the blacked out engine. So right, I'm going to do a little bit more head scratching, drill some holes maybe, just so at least I can mount it, and then work out what I want to do after that. So foot controls are on, the downpipes are on, and all good. Very happy with that. Didn't scratch anything either, which was a bit of a bonus. I know I was a little bit concerned initially about these kind of areas here that are usually covered with the heat shields, but it doesn't really overly bother me, to be honest. I might be able to mock up some heat shields or something, but they're pretty well hidden, so that is not a major concern for me at the moment. I do want to get the cocktail shakers on, so I'm thinking, oops, sorry, let's move that around. Probably going to utilise where you'd put the centre stand bolts or what have you there as a kind of bracket point. So that's where I think they're going to go, so I'll get them and measure them up, and work out. Well, I don't think I'm going to chop any of that away, you know. I think I'm going to leave that as is. So I need to drill the holes and then tidy up these bits here, I think, and give it a bit of a prep for paint. It's my main concern probably now is just going to be this gap here that can throw a lot of crap in. So I want to make something up to stop that happening. So I think I might go for Mudguard first. Okay, this is the bit where I would have had the under tray section, which I cut up and I've used as a sort of splash guard. Obviously I've lost all that footage, so this is just showing you the finished result on the front. Right then, splash guard is on, mounted up, from the side, pretty much invisible. Some good coverage there to stop all the road crap coming this way. And there we go. Just chop the bottom off. What I might do just here, I mean there's a fair amount of clearance, but I might just, this edge here, just bring that up a bit more rounded. This side dips down, so I mean if the swing arm came up to even here, that's still going to miss all this and go in here. So that would be, that'd be ideal. So that covers that. But yeah, we're getting well on the way, so now I need to just kind of work out or clean up this. There's still a fair bit of prep work to do to this. There's some kind of where the moulds come out a bit lumpy, so a bit of sanding and whatnot, but and just there where the splash guard is here, I'm going to take this edge off here, so that's kind of just looks a little bit clogged together, unnecessary. But yeah, overall I'm happy with that. That's and it also gives me, I'm trying to think ahead now because I've obviously got to get the wiring in. As far as I can remember, underneath the seat there was just some white, obviously the connector blocks, and then 2 relays as well. So what I can do is make some little, maybe rivet on some little tabs that I can hang the relays on. So that'll keep them out of the way and hidden as well. So yeah, happy days. Well, the phone ran out of battery power, so I've had to crack on and do a few bits whilst that was charging back up again. But we are getting on. So we've got a nice cutaway in there now, just to give us a bit of clearance should there be any issues. And the exhausts are on. So very nice and easy, no reducers required, they just fit on perfectly. So I'm just going to make up a little bracket to hold it up this end, and I think I'm going to just take off the threaded stud off there, a little bracket that comes back with maybe a spacer that goes through the centre stand hole, because I don't use a centre stand, and that'll be more than enough to keep those in place, I should think. I'm quite looking forward to hearing how these sound. Actually, I've left the baffles. Right, let's get the light on. You see the baffle in there. There's the new style baffles with like the large kind of almost like a washer with a hole in just to reduce it. So yeah, we'll see. Might have to play around with those, but let's get them mounted and on. But I do like the look of them. They are a popular choice for the Speedmaster in the America. But yeah, so I need to make these brackets up. So yeah, going to come off this stud here, down and through there. Just want to try and make it as clean and invisible as I can. So I have started a bit of scrap aluminium. I've just chopped the ends off there to give me these, and then I'll measure out the distance I need, and then get the old grinder and get cutting. Okay, so that's our first hole drill. So I'm just going to hang that on the old Sharpie, hang that on the exhaust, and I can just poke the pen through and mark out, get the right distance. So I'll poke the pen through there, so I'll have a spacer of some description through there. So I'll just make my mark and then drill that one out. Okay, and so looking at these, where I'm going to mount these, obviously I've got the bracket that's going to come straight out and mount in there. The holes here, I think they might even be like sort of 12mm holes. They're quite large, and I was having a rummage around and I just found these little stainless spacers that I've got, which I've popped fit perfectly in there. They're exactly exactly the right width to go in there, and then that allows me to use an M8 bolt, and I've got a couple of nice M8 bolts, so that will go straight through there, which then kind of saves me having to drill bigger holes. It keeps everything, the mounting stud there is an M8, so that just keeps everything a bit easier for me there. And then another rummage around the parts, so I never throw anything away. These are, I think they're aluminium bobbins, swing arm bobbins that I've just had knocking around. I have various just stuff like that which I just keep hold of, and that happens to be exactly the right size there. That is an M6 hole though, so I am going to have to just drill that out to accept an M8, but that will just make up the difference for the bracket and just make it look a bit nicer rather than having an exposed thread there, I guess. But yeah, we'll put all that together and you'll be able to see. But I need to just finish shaping off this bracket now. One down and one to go. So as long as I can make another one, we should be laughing. It's almost there, but the other bobbin, well, the distance between where the bracket of the exhaust comes out and the centre stand lug is, well, actually quite conveniently, the bobbins I'm using is that much closer, so I've just had to chop, hacksaw the end of the bobbin off, but that's perfect size now, so I'll get that on and show you the mounted up exhausts. There we go, that's the one. One bracket that side, and the bracket that side. Pretty nice, pretty invisible, not really noticeable from that side of the bike, and strong as you like, those exhausts aren't going anywhere, so that's ticked off. Actually, while I had all the aluminium and the grinder and everything out, I made another carb bracket, and this one's out of the same aluminium. There was a few bits I mean the other one was quite heavy, almost overly so, and then the slot I've done this time with the verticals, which I think looks just neater, and nicer. And also I suddenly thought I wasn't sure what kind of steel the other one was out, so I left it out, cut off bit outside, and whether it's just been galvanised or something, but where the cuts have been, that's rusted up, so obviously that wouldn't do, so yeah, just remade it. But yeah, I definitely prefer the upward slots there. I think that's better design. Right, okay, been doing a bit on the rear mudguard now, and that's it's taken a long time, but we're slowly getting rid of the sort of mouldings on the side there. Can still feel they're slightly frayed. The other one I want to get rid of, right in the middle there, you can see that kind of hole. Well, it's not a hole, is it? It's an indentation. A couple of those deep gauges from the mould. I need to fill that, I think, and just clean it up, because I'm thinking there's going to be nothing on there, you know, so I haven't got anything to cover it over with. And but yeah, I want to get a nice sort of finish on it, so just filling and more sanding for now. Right, that is the rear mudguard now, pretty much prepped and ready for paint. I've just got to give it a good clean down, but hopefully, it's always hard to tell, but that is everything smooth and ready for some tough black. And hopefully I've managed to clean up all the little dents and marks and stuff that I don't want to show, but we'll see after we get the first coat of paint on. Yeah, better give it a clean. It's getting late now, so it'd be cool to just at least get one coat on before the end of this video. We'll see. Okay, so that's the first coat on. Obviously it's still glossy, so it's because it's wet, but it's alright. But I can. It's highlighted a few areas that I need to revisit, so I'm just going to let this dry now, and then I'll have to attack it again in a couple of days. So that's the end of this video. I'm about as far as I can get now. It's getting late on Sunday evening, so I need to get this edited, see what gets lost, and get it put up. But yeah, we're getting there. It's starting to look like a bike again now, so that's pretty cool. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. See you next time.